well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird's a winner, well, a bird.
Grown men watch this shit?
A podcast about indie wrestling.
Bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the still burning, lovable dumpster fire that is...
Shit. Grown men watch this shit?
We do.
Grown men listen to this shit? What grown
Apparently.
man still listen to this shit?
I honestly do not know. I can't imagine the people that tune into us every 2 weeks roundabout. I mean,
You
we're
have to
grateful that
imagine
you
if people
do.
who don't know us. People who know us probably couldn't continue to listen to us ramble on. If you're like, hey, who are these random people I don't know that are maybe semi-interesting? How did this American and this Australian guy become friends? It's strange, but we're here for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know if we just get auto downloaded, maybe, and the numbers that I see, no one actually listens to it. That'd be pretty good.
I've never actually seen any of these numbers you speak of. Are numbers relatively okay?
Yeah, I believe we do pretty well comparative to the other
The rest of the network?
Yeah, the rest of the network. So we're good. Yeah, Josh
How
tells
would
me
we put
good
it on
things
par
whenever
with
I talk
other-
to him.
Will we put it on par with other podcasts? Are we nipping on the heels of Bruce Pritchard? And
Oh, definitely.
oh, my dog unplugged my fucking headset. 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah, we're
All right, I'm back.
definitely nipping on the heels of Bruce Pritchard and JR and Eric Bischoff and all those guys. For sure.
Stupid dog ripped the cord out of the fucking headset, so all of a sudden I couldn't speak or hear.
It
stupid dog.
happens. It happens.
So anyway, what's going on with you, buddy?
Yo, so I am... This is the big day. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know the commitment that I have to this show. I am flying out on this day to travel across the Atlantic Ocean. Wait, Atlantic or Pacific? I always get them confused.
Atlantic, unless you're going around the way of Japan and swinging around.
Well, we don't go past
Where are you landing?
LA. So I think that's
You're
the
landing in
Pacific
LA?
Ocean.
Yeah, you're going Pacific. That's the long way. I mean, that's not the long way, but
Short way for us.
yeah, you would assume when we're looking at a map, Americans go, well, they're going to be flying over the Atlantic Ocean. No, they go around the other way because it's the globe, AJ Styles.
Yeah, there we go. See, buddy, you're learning things, geography, all the things on this show.
I figured as much, but you confused me when you said the wrong one first.
Yeah, I don't know why Atlantic came up first in my mind. It's
You
always
lost the Red
Pacific.
Sea.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I'm doing that on this day. So I've only packed about a quarter of my bag, I'm gonna say. So I've still got a fair bit of preparation to go, and yet here I am sitting down recording a podcast because I love you guys, you know.
Great bloke. Your tops, mate.
Yay, tops. Woo! So yeah, we thought this would be a last little chance to do a bit of a preamble before the big exciting wrestling trip that's about to take place. Yeah, I mean we're probably not going to review as much content. Maybe keep this one a bit shorter, and yeah, just have a little bit of a chat about all the things that are exciting coming up. There's a bit of news, not even old news, current news. That has happened of late. I woke up yesterday to see the news about AXS TV being purchased by Anthem. So now the Owls own the channel that New Japan and the Women of Wrestling, I believe, air on in your country. That's a pretty big deal.
It's fucking pretty crazy how that worked out. I also heard by some weird situation, I guess Steve Harvey is a part owner now of the show.
I
proxy of all
love
that's
me.
going down?
I love me some Steve Harvey. So if this means we can get Steve Harvey in either a New Japan or even an Impact Wrestling ring, I am all for it.
Yeah, calling people by the wrong names, like who used to do that all the time was fuck. Was it Jericho that called everybody their wrong names, like Kurt
I think
Angel
so.
and Greenberg and stuff?
Yeah. The Dean, was it Dean Malerkel?
Oh no, Dean Stinko Malenko.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he was pretty good at that. You know what Steve Harvey would have been great for? Remember that terrible run where they were having like the guest GMs on Raw, and they'd have all these like B and D grade celebrities who would just come in for a night and run that shit? Steve Harvey would have fucking owned that.
I'm actually, we may be misremembering. Maybe he did. I mean, he
I
sounds
wouldn't
like the
be
perfect
surprised.
celebrity to do so. Yeah.
He really would have, because I remember the what was his name, the dude from the game show that everyone loves, with the really skinny microphone, and he had that great bit with Jericho.
Oh, Bob Barker.
Oh, Bob Barker. Oh, no one will ever be better than Bob Barker in terms of a celebrity appearance in wrestling. But yeah, has Steve Harvey done that?
I don't know. Damn it, dog. Hang on. If you could hear me, hang on.
Clearly,
Fucking
Bronx
dog
is
pulled the
a Steve Harvey fan here, and he's like, obviously, Jeremy, come on, how do you not know this?
I fucking dog pulled the headset out again like a dick.
I can still hear you okay.
No, I mean, did you hear me when I was saying dog pulled it out? Hang on.
No.
Well, then you couldn't hear me.
I guess you do need to be plugged in. Shocking.
But yeah, Steve Harvey, I was not aware, or nor am I aware. Did you do the research? Have we determined whether or not he's hanging out with the wrestlers back when Raw had managers or guest hosts?
I've done a Google search of Steve Harvey. Actually, no, I've misspelled it. Steve Garvey. Let me fix this up.
His gimmick is for getting names wrong, so that's perfect.
Yeah, guys, I swear I'm not even drunk yet.
Dog, get out of here.
Steve
Move.
Harvey,
Dog,
WWE
go away.
Raw Google search. No, top result is the Anthem buying majority of AXS TV news.
Well,
So
they missed out on something. They definitely missed out.
yeah, well, I think we're all set to go for Steve Harvey's big, amazing debut in the world of professional wrestling. I'm excited.
It's crazy. That's where all the wrestling fans went to. Like, oh, Steve Harvey owns TNA. Like, what?
Oh my gosh,
hilarious.
how good! I mean, I hate the authority figures in wrestling in this day and age in general, but how fucking good an authority figure would Steve Harvey be on weekly on
God.
Impact Wrestling?
That'd be so great. Just laughing at everyone being stupid.
Giving them those Steve Harvey eyes when they do something dumb
Yep.
or outrageous.
Actually, you know what? Let's just make Steve Harvey's mustache the general manager. Like, Steve Harvey could show up and be there with the mustache, but the mustache makes all the decisions.
Oh man. I mean, so outside of Steve Harvey, what do you think this is going to mean? Because like there've been sort of a bit of a tumultuous relationship between Impact Wrestling and New Japan over the years. Despite the new team in Impact with Don Callis and Scott D'Amore and stuff, apparent like rumor and innuendo, but you know, trying to make some overtures to New Japan to patch that up. Apparently, there was still a lot of resentment from when what was it, Russo and Dixie fucked over a bunch of the New Japan talent back in the day, namely one Okada. Do you remember his gimmick back in TNA way back when?
Yeah, and they did no favors for Sonata either.
Yeah, they also buried Naito and Yujiro back when they were Team No Limit. And they were fucking awesome back then.
It did, when you like even recently with they had Ishimori and were just making they were pushing him, but he wasn't like as awesome as he is now. Like they just failed.
Technically, that was when Ishimori was still a Noah wrestler, and Impact was meant to have to deal with Noah. Had a bit of going back and forth there, and then springing off of that, I think that may have had something to do with Ishimori jumping ship to New Japan.
But I guess more that it does illustrate that they don't know what to fucking do with talented Japanese wrestlers for the most part.
I don't know. I've been a bit of a fan of Impact under the new ownership. I've always thought that the worst thing in the history of Impact Wrestling is the incompetency of Dixie Carter. And once they ousted her out of the place and got some sensible minds back in, like Scott D'Amore and Don Callis, I think they've been steering a pretty good ship.
I was speaking more of specifically Japanese talent. Yeah, that's why I said Japanese talent.
I see.
They like the rest of the show is pretty good, but like name one Japanese talent that they got over really well.
Under the new ownership?
No, ever.
That's not fair to the new ownership. They're not responsible for that previous bullshit.
I'm speaking of the track record of TNA. Period. Like they've never been able to get over. Even haven't even booked really any awesome Japanese wrestler. Ishimori was there. He wasn't featured very well, I feel. I was watching that.
We did get that awesome match with Kurt Angle and Yuji Nagata way back when from the Tokyo Dome. That was like the best match in Impact Wrestling history when they showed that on the show.
We're clearly talking about different things now.
Also, I went back and I was watching, you know how the Impact has like their old retro Impact stuff from like Nashville? The replays up on
the Asylum stuff?
The things. Yeah, the Asylum. I saw they had, of all people, and I had no idea this match took place, they had Takao Mori appear in TNA, which blew my mind. I'm a huge Takao Mori fan, dating back to like the 90s All Japan, his No Fear tag team with Takayama, his awesome matches with Jun Akiyama for the Triple Crown in All Japan over in the late 2000s. He's still doing great stuff in current day All Japan. But yeah, Takao Mori, master of the Axe Bomber, actually had a match or two in TNA. I thought that was wild.
I'm an American, so I believe the master of the Axe Bomber is one Terry Bollea, the Hulk Hogan. No, I'm actually not too familiar with him. You know me, man. I'm like a student of knowing lots of things about wrestling, but I haven't fucking watched enough awesome All Japan. Like everything I see is in clip or GIF form. So, right. But you fill me in. How fucking awesome was this guy, man? Give me what's a notable match, or what's outside of the.
I would mostly put up because he was pretty fun like early in his career in like the kind of the late '90s All Japan, and then he kind of like was all over the place, and then he really came back to just be like even after sort of like during the twilight years of his career. When he came back to All Japan once Jun Akiyama was running it after him and a bunch of Noah guys came in, kind of usurped the promotion. But yeah, there were a series of matches between Takao Mori and Jun Akiyama over the Triple Crown that pretty sure one of them won like Japanese Wrestling Match of the Year. Like it was that good.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He's awesome. And he also has like the greatest entrance music of all time. So I'll let you discover that for yourself. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Takao Mori. Apparently there's a UK wrestler called Omori or Omari, something like that. And yeah, and I think Davis was putting him over a while ago on one of our group chats, and I was like, holy shit, are you wrestling Takao Mori? I was like, no, I am not.
Okay, so to recap, TNA or Impact much better now. I just don't think they've been able to push Japanese wrestlers as well as they possibly could. Yeah, and that might change now. It's like, who knows? Hopefully they can, build some sort of bridge back with New Japan because they're definitely soured on ROH. So
you really think so?
It seems like it.
There seems to be a lot of people saying that, but I can't see any actual evidence that is happening. People are thinking just because New Japan is doing this series of shows in the Northeast, in buildings that ROH would normally run, that the relationship's soured. But I almost saw it like ROH has these buildings booked with the current kind of way attendance is going. There's no way they would be filling those buildings. So they were like, hey, want to come take them. Like, I think that's more of a realistic way
You think
that this
they
may have
offered them
gone
up
down.
I viewed it as they, want to do their own thing. They definitely haven't been as prevalent on ROH TV or ROH pay-per-views as much as they were last year. I mean, significantly has decreased by me.
I mean, I think it
come on.
makes sense because they
Just a
were
tag
a
team.
bit overexposed in the amount of tours where you just have the ROH show and, oh, yep, here's this New Japan guy, here's that New Japan guy, to the point they didn't even really feel that special anymore. So I
It
think
didn't
they
even feel
did.
like ROH anymore.
Well, they did need to wind it back, and I think
Yeah.
as well in wanting their own shows to draw better stateside, they probably again don't want their guys to be as overexposed in the market. But I mean,
I think they realized it was a more beneficial relationship for ROH than it was for New Japan.
well, I mean, if we take ROH out of it, New Japan wouldn't have got into Madison Square Garden. So I mean, it does go both ways.
Oh yeah, man. Sometimes you have to let somebody lead the way a little bit before you step away. It happens in most businesses. People, once they realize they can strike out on their own, they go for it.
I still think they need the infrastructure that ROH has stateside, because the one thing that I always annoyed at with New Japan is their lack of basic kind of like infrastructure in their domestic USA shows. Like most of them, none of them have enough advertising to what they actually should. Special local advertising. You don't see anything in terms of like television advertising. Like they really don't do all that much, and a lot of time you see like little things that are kind of like, I don't know, it just seems a bit lazy because they've probably got one dude who's responsible for all of this, whereas I think that's where having a partner like ROH to be able to help out with this stuff is invaluable. I mean, a big time example of that. How about the TV deal and then the actual uploading to New Japan World of the Super J Cup that you went to? That's still fucking not up on New Japan World. I still haven't been able to watch this fucking show because they apparently Fight TV didn't cover those shows, so they just didn't go up. So they got like bloody 3 or 4 week delay, which is ridiculous in this day and age. But I mean, that's exactly where if they had said, hey, ROH, could you guys bring over your film crew and help us out? Maybe we can put these shows on Honor Club in addition to putting them on New Japan World, and we could have had them up, on a couple of day delay as opposed to a 3 week delay. I think they're still a good partner. I don't know.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I don't know all the business side, but that definitely is a sound argument. One thing I can't say from somebody who knows somebody who worked closely with New Japan, talked to Farmer. He talked about what a well-oiled machine it is. Like it was impressive to watch, I guess. How you guys
I mean,
run
compared to the average American indie show, I think it's like just complete worlds difference of how a proper big time Japanese wrestling company runs their shit.
Even using like the local ring team, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Mark, we should talk about this real quick because it's just happened. Josh Bodom beating up that referee. I love the video of it because they show Mark walking over to it and turn around and
like,
walking the
way. This is none of my business. I'm just gonna.
I popped so hard when that happened.
So did I, and like Kyle did the same thing. I thought that was so great. Oh man,
I feel bad for the referee that they step in, but I think it's hilarious and like I want no part of this.
It's I don't know. People got really, really angry about this, as the Twitter world often does. I was more, and again, this is probably like my asshole, like former worker mentality on this stuff. I was more pissed off at the referee for airing this like dirty laundry over Twitter before even talking to Andy Quildan or even talking to Bodom or Shah Samuels. He put this on fucking Twitter, like baby faces those guys. Oh yeah, not a problem, all smiley face joking around. And then next thing, a couple days later, where these guys don't even know there's a problem, and then he's just like putting it up on Twitter. That's a fucking like dog move in my book. That's unprofessional, and that's like that shouldn't be. That's like the first thing you learn in wrestling, you know? You don't air fucking a company's dirty business out like that before dealing directly with the dudes.
Well, then Josh Bodom does the same thing where he gets buried by the company in public, and then as he puts on his Instagram stories a message he got from one of the promoters saying how they got his back even though they were burying him in the public eye. So he shared that on his Instagram, and then he said he was quitting wrestling.
But that was like after it all kind of like went down and fell apart and exploded with all of these
Oh
people
no, I'm just saying it's
burying the
just funny
company.
how people are doing that both. They're doing both things. Like they're acting one way in public, and then on the other side, like, "Hey man, don't worry about this. This will blow over."
Oh yeah, I mean that's how you have to do it. Like if I was in Andy's shoes, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing. You know, as much as that sounds like a shitty move, but like, you know, you have to sort of deal with.
Why couldn't you just say "fuck you, Bodom"?
Well, I don't know whether he has. I don't know whether it's like, all right, let's just let this simmer down kind of situation. We're saying we're completely severing ties, and then we'll see what happens later, or whether it actually has been, you know, like they've said in their public statement. But it's just it's a weird thing without knowing all the details, you know.
No one deserves to get beat up, bro. Like a kid has to fucking quit wrestling.
Yeah, but if you had that, how do you go 2 more shows after that and not say anything to the guy, not bring it up?
No, bro. I completely agree with you. The way it was handled after the fact was goofy and shitty and unprofessional on all parts. But the guy going out of his way to just decimate this little referee is fucking stupid.
It wasn't that bad. I watched the footage, and he gave him a couple of one knee and a couple of back clubs, and the back clubs actually looked safe. So
the fucking not working anymore.
And also
like
the other thing, everyone was burying Shah Samuels for giving him the body slam, and they're making out, oh, this referee doesn't know how to take a body slam. Fuck that. I refereed for like 2 years, and the first thing you learn as a referee is how to bump when you have to do a ref bump and how to take a basic move bump like that. So he would fucking
I think a lot of people were just bitching at it because it wasn't planned. But yeah, no, it was like one of the safest body slams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But regardless, it was. I think
also,
more people
like,
are going with the
any
consent.
job in wrestling, like any capacity like that, you have to know how to work with shit on the fly. Like it's not this fucking world where, oh, we didn't agree to this 2 weeks in advance. Like the world of wrestling, like there's you sometimes you just have to go with stuff, you know.
So we just need to broadcast to every referee working out there that it's improv. If somebody attacks you, just allow them to.
Fuck, if you like talk about the history of wrestling, like if we're talking about a Terry Funk match with like fucking Stan Hansen from like Southwest from like the early 80s or something, and shit goes down and something happens weird with like a fan coming in, they have to improvise. You telling me Terry Funk wouldn't be like, oh, let's have some fun with the referee or something like that? And no one would have like blinked an eye.
I'm just saying that most referees nowadays don't think they are going to get their ass whooped if they blow a finish. Like, I mean, they probably assumed that people just like, fuck, you fucked up. They'll yell at him in the back, not beat his ass in front of everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously that's regrettable, and what Josh did was regrettable. But at the same time, I'm like, this whole idea that like any time for you to physically touch a referee whatsoever, or verve away from the script, that it's like this whole negative victim culture thing. I'm like, it's fucking wrestling, man. Like, it's a rough sport. You got to be able to go with the flow sometimes. I don't know.
Let it be known that half of this podcast accepts the handling of referees. The other half does not.
I'm going to say I don't think what Josh Bodom did to him, was completely above board. It's regrettable. It's the kind of thing. I have no doubt that Josh would have apologized to him after they got to the back, that definitely would have happened. But I think that the thing that annoyed me more was just how this referee dealt with it, which I think was completely unprofessional.
Alrighty.
So that's my take on that one.
Alrighty.
You remember way back when I notoriously fucked up Bandito's name and called him Bandito Jr. for like a good, I want to say 2 to 3 shows. I don't know.
Sir.
I may be exaggerating that. But I don't remember if I, that there was actually a guy.
Certainly two.
Yeah,
You,
definitely.
I think you brought it up about there actually being a Bandito Jr.
Yeah. So there is a Bandito Jr. He was big in the New Jersey sort of indie scene of the early 2000s, Jersey All Pro, JCW, like those kind of companies. And I saw a name that popped up in the news today, and it rang a bell. The dude who he was Bandito Jr. from back then, he's been working as an NXT referee recently, and today it was reported that he's been moved up to the main roster of WWE as a referee.
Bandito Jr. is a referee on WWE TV?
Mm-hmm.
Shit!
Eddie Orengo.
We need to call him Bandito Jr. Jr.
Yeah. El Hijo del Bandito Jr. Yeah. How nuts
So
is
good.
that? Bandito
great.
Jr. is now a referee on Raw.
What a small world.
Yeah.
What a small world of wrestling.
Thought that was fun. Speaking of the Lucha Libre news, I have been watching a little bit of the AAA of late. I really enjoyed the shit out of Triple Mania this year with the amazing bloody bout between Blue Demon Jr. and Dr. Wagner Jr. involving Blue
gnarly.
Demon hitting him with a fucking hammer a bunch of times.
Wasn't a cinder block to finish?
Yeah, winning the match with the fucking cinder block. I thought that match was tremendous. I thought it blew that Young Bucks match out of the fucking water, man. But so I have been tuning into the last couple of episodes of AAA, and so I watched the most recent episode just the other day, and there was some controversy, my friend. Have you heard about this?
It's not ringing a bell. Go on, sir. You piqued my interest.
AAA are renowned pieces of shit when it comes to a lot of things.
You talking about the renaming these 3 fucking dudes?
Yes. So they're renowned pieces of shit for a lot of things. Treating their employees like scum, not paying dudes when they're injured, firing people for terrible reasons. But one of the main things that sticks in my craw is the idea that they'll trademark a guy's name, and then they just see fit to create a new version of him. Sometimes they just call it the exact same name, like they did with
Octagon?
No, I was gonna say.
Oh no, they did Octagon Jr. Yeah.
What's his name from WCW? Psychosis. Remember how they had the original Psychosis, who then became Nisho, and then they had just this other dude, who I think he ended up in CMLL going as like Raptor or something. But yeah, they just he's just Psychosis now.
He looked identical.
Totally the same guy, complete bullshit. But yeah, so they have a history of doing this. They, obviously very famous for La Parka, just coming up with a complete another La Parka. To start with, they called him La Parka Jr., but then they quickly got rid of that and just like, yeah, he's just La Parka. And because I guess it was a bit of a different wrestling world back then, people just, by and large, the casual Lucha Libre fan just kind of believed it for a long time. And then LA Park, became his own badass, awesome thing separate to the La Parka character, and then they ended up coming back and having a few, blah, blah, blah. But so they have a bit of a history of putting guys under the mask and either just fraudulently calling them Junior, like they're the son of the guy, or just calling him outright the same name, just because fuck you, we own the gimmick, we'll just put it on someone else. But so they went to do that a couple of years ago, I want to say, with Octagon, where they came up with an Octagon Junior. Now they decided
This did not make Octagon too happy.
no, it did not, because Octagon has his own son who he was wanting to take on the moniker. If in Octagon worked in CMLL, like prior to AAA, so it wasn't like AAA invented this
Created
octagon
it, yeah.
gimmick at all, but they registered the trademark of it or whatever. I think there's a lot of legal complicated stuff going on, but yeah, last time they decided to put the Octagon Junior mask on poor Flamita. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, which resulted in the real Octagon ambushing an autograph signing that Octagon Junior was doing with a whole bunch of heavies and semi-automatic weapons and taking the mask by force.
So good.
Which was
It's like
actually
one
filmed.
of the most lucha things I've ever heard.
Yeah, you can actually watch that on YouTube. It's still up there. It's incredible. But so now, obviously, AAA hasn't learned from their past behavior. And they've done it again. And again, they've decided to put this Octagon Junior mask on a really fucking incredibly talented up-and-coming guy. Like, probably one of my favorite luchadors from the indie scene at the moment, Golden Magic.
And what a fucking awesome name Golden Magic is. Why would you get rid of that?
Was fantastic, like, as was, but apparently the AAA are really big on only pushing guys that they own the gimmick for, so that they can fuck them on the way out and have more control over them if they leave. So that is the thing. So they did that to Octagon Junior. They also did the same thing for Bengala, which Ricky Marvin actually played the previous version of Bengala. Then there was another Bengala thereafter. Now they've put the Bengala gimmick on another really talented indie dude called Archangel Divino. And then
we watched a match with him, didn't we?
I believe so. Was that like the Dragon
that
Bane
AAA?
match?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, he was really, really good. Then they've also, this is the one that I think is real a dog move, Abismo Negro, who was like one of the great
classic
luchadors. Like he was awesome. I remember him from like the TNA World Cup, just like fucking killing it. Cool as fuck mask as well.
Yep,
and then he passed away a couple of years ago. And so they've now come up with this Abismo Negro Jr., who now they've put that on Eterno, who was another really talented indie dude. And the family, like I think his Abismo Negro's daughter, did a post saying that AAA hadn't contacted them, the estate, like at all, didn't even give them a heads up on this, let alone asking permission, or whether they'd be okay with it, or any sort of like money dealings.
It's a tribute gimmick, guys.
Yeah, they'll be really happy when they're surprised and they see it on TV. It's a compliment.
Fucking A.
Oh man, so it's tough because I know, like from the Octagon Junior side, I know that Golden Magic is probably a much better wrestler than the real Octagon, Junior. Octagon's actual son probably is, just due to the amount of time that he's been wrestling. I think the real Octagon Junior's only been doing it like a year or two or something. But yeah, I mean, in the match, like Golden Magic fucking killed it. Like he's a really fucking great wrestler. To where I'm now, well, I don't know maybe the real Octagon Junior who's going as Hijo del Octagon. Like, is he gonna prove himself on the outside? Then maybe like one day come in like LA Park did and have like work a feud off of this or something, or is the crowd just gonna fucking reject Octagon Junior, like this fraudulent Octagon Junior? I don't know.
The shame, man. Really talented guys who could, establish their own legacy have to carry on something because the company, hey, we got these old masks we want to sell still. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, well, it's probably like we'll give you a fucking way bigger push if you do this character than if you don't. I don't know.
That's weird.
And the real funny thing, Golden Magic was actually part of their Trios champions, and still is.
Okay.
So.
Does he have to wrestle both gimmicks?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Are we going to have him like go back to be like Golden Magic and like Trios title defenses, or is he just going to go back to that gimmick to drop the title, or are they just going to like ignore it and crown new champions? Or this is bizarre. It also raises questions of like how last minute this was as well. Like, let's introduce the guy while he's still a Trios champion.
Interesting.
Mm.
Way to go, AAA.
Yeah, but I mean, that being said, not the most
The wrestling's good.
The actual show was real fun. It's probably the best AAA has been in many years. I think it has a bit to do with Conan being back in charge as Booker, maybe having a bit more control than what he used to do. But yeah, it was a fun show, and I am actually going to the AAA show in New York at the Hulu Theater, and I'm actually kind of pumped for it, despite knowing what a shitty company
that was the
they
show
are.
you and John were talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, John got me the tickets because I wasn't able to access the Ticketmaster for some reason from Australia.
Geo-blocking?
Yeah, why would they do that?
I guess they assumed that no Australians were going to go.
I guess.
Like, no way in hell. This is New York. Why would some Australian be there? Yeah.
But yeah, got my tickets, and like fucking Cain Velasquez is going to be on that show in a trios match with
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, with like Taurus and bunch of really really good dudes. So that should be good. And we get the main event of the big rematch between Blue Demon Jr. and Dr. Wagner Jr., which I'm pumped as fuck for. There better be a hammer involved, I'll tell you that.
Or something even more destructive this time.
Yeah, the
a shovel.
Ooh.
An actual shovel.
Maybe a screwdriver. We can just get other things from the toolbox.
Stabby.
Yeah, I always loved that. That probably my favorite Triple H match ever. And I'm not in any way a fan of Triple H, but that one he had with Flair in the cage, and they had the screwdriver, and it was actually somewhat violent for a WWE match. I thought that was awesome.
Okay, you're like, I can't possibly put Triple H over without letting everybody know that I actually do not like him.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't go through all of those early 2000s terrible captive shows that were like completely burying everyone at the expense of Triple H. I didn't go through that without being able to complain about Triple H every time I speak his name.
Oh, I get you, man. It made sense. It just was funny.
Yeah, it's funny with this show. To start with, I was like, oh, this show's going to suck when it was originally going to be in Madison Square Garden. And I was just thinking, oh, man, they're not drawing a crowd at all there. It's going to be like 2,000 people in like a fucking 15,000-seat venue. It's going to be depressing as shit. Then as soon as they announced it was being moved to the Hulu Theater, I'm like, fuck, this show should actually be really fun.
When you started going, at first I thought the show was going to suck. I thought you were talking about our podcast that we recorded right now. You continue talking about the other stuff. Dog, quit biting me. You're being a real asshole.
Yeah, no, I always had high expectations of our podcast, so.
Of course.
No, not really. Actually, we didn't have anything planned really for today. We're just going to have a quick little ramble chat. But sometimes they're fun, you know?
Yeah.
So any news from that you've seen that you think's worth talking about, sir?
Much like you just said, I really don't have anything prepared. I didn't think of anything because we jumped on so quickly.
Oh no, I just meant off the top of your head. Anything of like it sounded like a big deal.
Let me think. No, nothing really.
Great podcasting here. Woo!
Fucking, the most stuff I focus on is all the nonsense that happens like on Twitter, so that's why I brought up the fucking Josh Bodom story. But
yeah, the cesspool that is Twitter.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good place. I like it.
You did pretty well, man.
I did watch actually one of those Women of Wrestling shows. I was supposed to do the channel one time. The show comes off like WWE style presentation of a women's wrestling show.
Is it like the old WoW used to be, or like what was the one?
It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, like Glow kind of vibes.
Yeah, but like they're actual wrestlers instead of women playing wrestlers. For the most part, like as far as I know.
I think the real Glow had a mix, didn't they?
I believe like a few, but I think most of them were just like actresses and models and stuff.
Yeah, that's where I actually think it was hilarious. Like the few little bits of Glow that I've seen, like
Oh, same. And the fucking documentary is a great fucking watch. If you ever, I'm sure you've watched it by now. But if
The
people haven't gotten around to
documentary or
seeing
the
the
television show?
the documentary,
I have not actually seen the documentary.
you definitely should check it out. It's solid.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Oh, speaking of women's wrestling, I did actually recently watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode of on Fabulous Moolah.
Dude,
That
I
was some
haven't got
interesting
around to
shit.
watching any of that shit because I want to watch them, but it's so morose. I try to be positive about wrestling. I don't want to fucking watch all this depressing shit.
I liked the episode because it felt like an actual real documentary and not this bullshit, fucking Michael Moore kind of documentary where you already have an agenda type of thing. Like it was even and balanced and sort of left the decision up to the viewer in terms of was Moolah this fucking renowned piece of shit that a lot of people say that she was, or was she actually a good person who just was doing what she had to do kind of thing. Because they have like a lot of different people who were like talking about the events, ranging from like family of one of the girls who said that they she actually pimped their mum out and kept her going on a whole bunch of drugs and would just like have sex with this promoter or that promoter to get her booking or whatever. It's like all the stories go, and then other people.
That sounds awesome.
Other people that were like, no, well, people say that, but I never saw any of that, and blah, blah, blah. I think Moolah was great, and it's just a smear campaign, and blah, 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 blah. So, it was quite interesting hearing from the different characters. And also, I liked that they actually touched on how much of a fucking farce it is that people think that like Moolah kept wrestling alive kind of thing and did all this great work for women's wrestling like way back when actually she pretty much like took it down from being an awesome in-ring product to being just the piece of shit sort of like parody that we knew that was kind of women's wrestling for a long time. Because like Moolah was never a very good wrestler, and she didn't want the other girls to show her up, kind of thing. So,
yeah,
it was a very interesting thing. I'd highly recommend anyone gives it a watch ski.
The one that actually I didn't think of, but the one thing that had kind of came out today about Killer Cross, basically breaking his silence about the bullshit that went down with Impact and how he asked for his
what's
release
going on
and didn't
there?
get it. Apparently, it all started over like merchandising. He wanted to get some fucking merchandising going, and they kind of dropped the ball on that because he was honestly the hottest property they had going for a good period of time there, and probably still is, even though they took him off TV or stopped booking him. I guess
I dug the feud and the way that they were approaching the feud between him and Eddie Edwards. I thought that was pretty cool.
So, what do you think, man? If he is gone, do you think WWE is going to pick this guy up? I think he's being 34, he can't miss, right?
He'd be a way better fit for AEW because they want kind of like big, aggressive looking kind of guys that can actually work. They've got, who was that guy that they teased on the pay-per-view was coming in, just the big jacked up dude who from all accounts can't wrestle. Wardlow?
Yeah.
Waldorf?
Waldorf. It's Statler and Waldorf.
Definitely Waldorf. But I mean, to me, like if you're bringing in a guy like that who from all accounts isn't all that impressive in the ring whatsoever, and I have to have a lot of smoke and mirrors and shit, like you could bring, they should be bringing in dudes like Cross who can actually work but also have like the monster vibe. I mean,
yeah,
I think you just get lost in the
automatically
shuffle with
goes to
WWE.
100%, but my brain always goes WWE because I want guys to go make a whole bunch of money. Maybe not have to do a whole bunch, but
get locked up in the holding cell of a 5-year contract and never actually get to wrestle and
the dream
put in the shed. Yeah,
everyone wants to work for the WWE.
Fucking marks. I can't imagine people in this day and age after hearing everything of what it's like and all of the practices and like you look at a dude like Brody Lee who's fucking doing all he can to get out of that contract, or like even a Rusev, and they're like, yeah, I want to fucking go there. Like fucking where does like the being a kid who's a mark in their fucking living room being like, oh, that's my goal one day, to actually like, living in reality and being like, that sounds like a terrible career opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, how do those things compute? It's just bizarre to me.
It honestly is, strangely enough, a markish attitude. It really is, but at the same time, it comes down to a boyhood dream, maybe. So maybe that overrides any business sensibility. I that's all I can assume. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've been dreaming about this all my life, so I will maybe take a little bit of emotional distress in order to achieve my dream for a period of time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can. What do you think, man? If they came to you,
Fuck
you'd
no.
be like, you say, no, you wouldn't.
No way. I like when I was actually wrestling, like,
Hey, Chris, we want you to be in here WWE Australia. It's going to be some X territory.
I mean, again, not to actually say that I was any good whatsoever as a wrestler. So, like, let's completely take that out of the thing. But
Oh, I heard you wrestled circles around most gentlemen.
oh, thank you. No, I had no like illusions of that kind of bullshit. But like, honestly, that was never even a thing that interested me. Because like the kind of wrestling I love is like Japanese wrestling or like Mexican wrestling or like just these cultures of wrestling where there's actually like a respect for it and a proper like reverence for it. Like that's the kind
Let's
of
talk
product
about
that I
it.
like.
Let's talk about it. Your boy, and our boy Jonah, also big fan of that
Yeah.
style of wrestling, but has made his decision to go be part of the WWE. Do you think any part of him regrets betting on that he'll get over, or he'll be languishing? I mean, you're definitely not speaking for him, just your sight from what you're viewing. Do you think he'll end up regretting it by any means?
It's hard, in the case of like when it's someone that you actually know, like
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
you just have your fingers crossed for them, and
Yeah.
it's like it's not my place to criticize or anything like that. Like,
Oh, I wouldn't say it's criticizing.
I just fingers crossed that
I think Jonah's one of those guys that if they, kind of do what they can do, because they've been able to get guys like Jonah, like big monster guys, over pretty good. They did with Umaga, Rusev for a good while. Other people, they just kind of flounder in the long run. So I think there's big, strong potential for Jonah or Bronson Reed to be over big in WWE. But like you said, they're betting on themselves and could possibly be just locked up in a contract.
I mean, it is the one good thing of them actually having competition for the first time in forever means that you are seeing some moves of them trying to do better by the guys because they know that there's somewhere else that they can go. So I don't know if that's more of an impetus for it's probably definitely good for him, the news with WWE trying to counter program AEW on Wednesday nights on USA.
He's going to be a
NXT.
national television star.
You got fucking 2 hours. I cannot, like, that's a whole separate conversation. I cannot imagine how they're going to do another 2 hours and think that people aren't going to be burnt out.
Just imagine being one of these guys who is booked for the developmental and like you're like, oh, by the way, we're going to be on national TV soon. Like, oh shit, all right, cool. That's pretty fucking awesome.
That sounds like they've cancelled the takeovers from being like as part of the big weekends. Like, so they're not doing the one at Royal Rumble this year, and by the sounds of it, they're just going to wait till AEW announces their big show around them and put it head to head. So,
yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, NXT was just like a vanity project for like Triple H, but now it's kind of like a vanity project meets a attempt to keep the other guys down, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it is. But if the only good part of all of this bullshit is that Jonah gets a better spot on that card, then so fucking good for him, man.
I mean, Jonah's such a good dude. Like, just a friendly guy. So knowing that he is doing what he wanted to do and going to be on national TV, it warms your cockles a little bit.
Yeah. High hopes, and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, sir. Fingers crossed.
I mean, lastly on the show, I guess we've talked about the upcoming BOLA, obviously a little bit so far, I guess last thoughts on the upcoming card, man. Like have we actually broken down this card and some of these matches yet?
I don't believe we even discussed any of the matchups. No,
Because
we did mention that some of the non-tournament matches with the tag teams, but not any tournament matches.
Yeah, I mean, we got the whole first round matchups ready to go. It all was announced, and I mean, straight off the bat, match that I am ridiculously excited for, maybe too excited for. You know how that happens sometimes? You get like you just build it
Now
up.
it's going to be a letdown.
You put it on this plinth, and then how can it actually live up to those lofty standards? But Jeff Cobb against Daisuke fucking Sekimoto. Dude.
Yeah, when I saw that match announced, I automatically sent a message to him like, "Oh my god, dude!" And he seemed pretty excited about it.
Big strong boys, big strong boys,
Yeah.
big strong boys.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of those where you hear those thuds throughout the entire globe. It's gonna be just like thwack.
Also,
Awesome.
both of those guys just scary strength. Like I can't think there's anyone else in wrestling that just has the scary strength of those two. Maybe Daisuke Sekimoto's partner, Yujiro Kobayashi, but apart from that, like this is just going to be a bunch of feats of things that shouldn't be possible, I think, and really hard clubbering.
Very rarely do we get to see Jeffrey thrown about, so that'll be interesting.
Jeffrey Cobb.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
I'm really excited as well for Gresham's opening round match against a man that you know quite well from your area in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Artemis Spencer.
Yup. Dude, Artie sadly recently dropped the title to local favorite and upcoming superstar Shaft. But yeah, Artie's great, man. It's cool to see him finally making his way down the West Coast. Maybe he'll make it to the East Coast here soon. I mean, he already made it over to England, but yeah, dude, he's fucking great, and he does some really cool, awesome, goofy lucha stuff that you don't expect a white guy from Canada to be doing.
And like technically really good, right?
Oh, sound as hell. Like that's his bread and butter. But then you see him doing like Phoenix style bounces off the ropes too. You're like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here?
Exactly. I think we may have mentioned this one in the past. This is ringing a little bit of a bell, but just Darby Allin against Black Taurus.
Oh yes,
Hot dog.
The boy's gonna be murdered.
Maybe he's actually legitimately going to be gored because, like, Black Taurus has those horns on his get-up. Maybe he's actually going to like pierce his insides.
That'd be so funny if they were shoot horns, like they're 100% rigid and actually could stab a motherfucker.
Like one of those videos from the Spanish running of the bulls where you see those fucking idiots just get like completely fucked up by the bulls.
Oh, speaking of that, a fucking matador got killed recently. Right on, go Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be like, good, a man died, but in that case...
Yeah, for 100%. I'm not about a guy dying, but I'm stoked if the Bulls win. Like, that's the game, right? The Bull won.
Well, no, the Bull never wins because the guy... That guy, you know, gets fucked up, but then the Bull inevitably will still get killed by someone else.
Now, one for the Bulls.
Man, I fucking hate bullfighting.
Dude, it's disgusting.
Worst.
Like, the fact that the people are like, well, it's tradition. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, idiotic. Anyway.
Same thing with cockfighting, really.
Yeah, dogfighting.
Yeah,
anytime.
Too.
Actually, cockfighting can be fun if you got the right fellas.
It's just two dudes slamming
Whacking
dongs.
That's actually what I've done stand-up once, and that's one of my jokes. So in my stand-up routine, I told 3 jokes, and they all kind of linked together about a girl breaking up with me and me having to live with some friends. So I'm living with my friends, and then I come home, I find out, yeah, they're into cockfighting. Disgusting, right? Well, it gets worse than you think. It was 2 guys in the living room with knives strapped to their dicks, surrounded by 30 Korean gentlemen betting. I didn't know what was going on. I made $30. They're pretty good.
That's some good shit. I like it.
Dude, I need to get on stage again because
yeah, man.
I did comedy. I can speak. I've done comedy twice and killed both times, but I'm literally dying on the inside while doing it. So
Was it like an open mic type deal, or was it?
yeah, I did open mic twice, and both times the MC said, "Dude, you're good. This is your first time." Well, the second time he didn't say that because that'd be idiotic. But the first time,
And that's when I knew he was completely blowing smoke up my ass.
yeah, hey, this is your first time? No, dude, I saw you last week. But yeah, he's like, "You're really good," and I never went back. I assumed that the 3 jokes I told were stolen.
No, man, you should definitely get back on that.
I'll tell my other joke when I have one. So my girlfriend hit me up. She said she wanted to talk, so I joined her in the living room. We sat down to chat, and she's like, "Jeremy, I got something to tell you. I'm bulimic. I'm suffering from bulimia." And I go, "Oh my God, you've been wasting so much of my money."
Oh dear. That one could go 2 ways in terms of a reaction based on your audience.
Huge
I
pop.
think.
Huge
Awesome.
pop. No.
Awesome.
Yeah, I won't do the other joke, but my other joke that I told in that stand-up bit revolved around feline leukemia or cat AIDS. So it got over well too. You can make a cat AIDS joke, make people laugh, believe it or not.
That's a good sign for comedy in 2019. Everyone's a little bit too serious these days.
This is like 4 years ago, dude. So we're fucked.
Oh yeah. Well, even more reason for you to get on that stage again and just see where we're at in terms of 2019 comedy and what we can still laugh at.
Yes, sir. Well, enough about me. Back to wrestling. So this card is fucking stacked, dude. Like
Dragon
the fact
Lee
that
and
we
Ray
have
Horus, that'd be fucking great.
amazing
Brody
tag team
King
matches.
and Ugg.
Oh, and then unfortunately, I don't think we talked about it, but Cavanero had to be pulled out. Unfortunately,
Yeah, that made me sad. I heard
but
a
Aramis,
thing.
is he pretty dope? Like, are we replaced by somebody awesome?
Yeah, he was actually on the AAA show that I was watching the other day, and he looked good.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, just everything you expect from like a really flippy indie dude, indie lucha dude. But yeah, I think people will be like, yeah, this guy does everything we want our luchadors to do in PWG.
And I'm selfishly stoked for Alex Zane being on the show. Like, the guy blew up this year just off of some fucking crazy spots he did at a couple GCW shows. So really proud of that guy.
He's the
also,
dude that did the crazy thing in their backyard show, right?
Yeah, he did the 630 off over the rope.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
He was in the match with Deppen. It's always Deppen that makes people look fucking incredible, and I'm most excited for Deppen getting this spot in this year's BOLA.
Yeah, I figured we talked about Deppen enough. No need to suck his dick anymore.
Who's Blake Christian? I don't know much about Blake Christian. I
think he tags with Alex Zane.
Right.
Which is weird since they're facing each other, but... Oh, is it a 4-way?
No, tag team with Joey and Alex Zane against Blake Christian and Tony Deppen.
I'm not terribly familiar with Blake. I've just seen pictures of him, but I imagine he has to be fairly on the level to be fucking making it to PWG.
Yeah, for Super Dragon to be making that call. I think it's cool that we, at this stage, we're like, hey, I don't know who this guy is, but if Super Dragon's bringing him out for this show, I'm looking forward to seeing him. He must be good.
There's no doubt in my mind, like, well, this guy has to be good enough. The last person I think the fans were super worried about was Trevor Lee, and he kind of proved everyone wrong. So there you go.
Yeah. Hey, one of the weird things, as much as we're sucking PWG's dick all the time, night one, this is like first time I ever remember this. There are still general admission and standing room tickets available.
That's interesting.
Isn't that bizarre? PWG, Battle of Los Angeles, night one, still tickets available.
I think there's less interest in night one because, it's the first night of the tournament, but and happening to be on a Thursday night. Yeah, I was just about to cut me off. I like when you finish my sentences, but not when I'm actually still saying them.
You could probably relate to Courtney well in that.
I used to always say to a joke with my other ex-girlfriends, like, I finish your sentences because I can't stand to hear you speak.
Beautiful.
I said it to be funny, but she got a kick at it. We had that kind of relationship.
I think that would really complement this next stand-up set well. Work it in.
Well, work it in.
Yep.
Shit.
Night 2 still has standing room available also. Rest is sold out. But, yeah, we got some matches on that one that I think will, like, Bandito and Laredo Kid. That, in all honesty, is probably the one thing I'm most excited for on night 2. That match should be insane. Then we have Orange Cassidy against David Starr. Pretty pumped for that one. I've seen David Starr have an awesome match with Orange Cassidy in
I bet the
Beyond
story in
Wrestling.
that match will be incredible. That'll be because it's the perfect setting for the Smarks to watch this grappler face the funniest wrestler in the world right now. So,
and that was the
that's
exact story they
great
told
that
in the
happens.
Beyond match. So I think that even if they just took that exact match that they did for Beyond, did it here, it would get over like gangbusters.
Yup.
I think we talked about this last time too. Tony Deppin's opponent in the first round is Pentagon Jr.
Yeah, so he's not going over unless he does. That'd be so fucking ridiculous. Holy shit!
That's what I'm predicting. Actually, I think that would be the best holy shit moment. And we'll, free Pentagon Jr. up to be in the crazy tag or whatever the next night. And yeah, I think Tony Deppin's going to be a big part of the future of PWG. That's one thing. Cousin Ben asked me who I think is going to be winning this thing. And my first thing was like, well, there's a lot of guys, I don't know how much longer they're going to be around in PWG. Who knows what's going to happen with these AEW contracts once TV kicks in, or you're hearing about a lot of guys having to finish up their dates. I don't know if PWG is an exception. But I mean, they got to be kind of planning for the future right now, right?
Yeah, you imagine so. They're, especially with how fresh the tournament is, maybe some of these guys are going to be crucial members of the future.
So, I mean, in that light, I'd say the right call there is to put Tony Deppin over Pentagon Jr.
I can't disagree with you there, sir.
Then we have Aramis against, who we were just talking about, against Ray Phoenix, which, yeah, hey, if you're going to get a spotlight in the first round, Ray Phoenix is the man to do it with. In a similar way, we've got Joey Janela against a fellow Australian of mine in Mick Moretti. So yeah, I've high hopes for Mick to have a good showcase there. And then Jake Atlas against Jungle Boy, which should be really fun as well. We know that those guys go quite a ways back in that kind of California indie scene. And then, non-tournament tag team match, Gresham and Daisuke Sekimoto against Jeff Cobb and Brody King. Whoa!
The little Gresham in there. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's like going to be grapple fuck and real
Hoss.
hossness. Yeah.
I want to see a spot where Gresham just like looks at the size of the rest of the guys and just kind of does the Yano arm thing. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think that'll surprise some people. And then the main event, Aussie Open against the Rascals in a PWG World Tag Team title match. Man, Do they make the big surprise and have Aussie Open take that one? I don't know.
Where does Davis reside currently?
UK. I think he resides in what's it called? Wolfram? Places in UK are weird.
I won't quote you.
Yes, he resides in Wolfram, UK. Put that on the record.
That's not. Is that too costly for them to ship him over to make a show every month? Or
well, that's what they were doing
months?
for Jonah and for Brooksy for a long time. Every time PWG
Oh
would fly
yeah,
them
I
out.
forgot. Yeah, they weren't even holding any belts.
So yeah.
Hang on one second. My dog got stuck in the other room. One second, I'll be right back.
So Jeremy's dog is stuck in the other room. I'll continue Jeremy's gimmick of looking at the things that are on my desk. I've got a $5 American note that an artist
Oh, you're so dumb.
illustrated a
I'm
patriot
back.
mask over the top of Abraham Lincoln. Really top work there. Big fan of it. That was actually done by Davey Painting, who does the mats for Beyond Wrestling and a lot of other wrestling companies. That's
Stupid dog.
one day in Chris's office.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, dog goes and pushes the other door open, and then he can't push it the other way when he gets stuck inside, so he gets all upset.
Oh, yeah, Jelly got stuck outside in a similar fashion when I got home from my run last night, and Courtney was downstairs, and all I could hear was squealing. Jelly just wanted to come say hello to me, and she was stuck out the back. Poor girl.
Poor dog.
And then a quick little wrap up on the final stage, which is in fact sold out. Coincidentally, that was the night that I had to buy the tickets for John, Jeremy, and I. And it was the hardest one. I had those general admissions in the thing, and then they just disappeared. And then I had to scramble at the last minute to get standing room. And then we've got a complicated swap skis that we spoke about last time that's then happened. So hopefully that's all sorted.
I think it's funny how the tickets sold out, but yet we were still able to procure them. Interesting.
But yeah, so all of the rest of the final night will be yet to be revealed, except for a possible PWG Tag Team title match between Aussie Open and the Dark Order / Super Smash, formerly known as Super Smash Bros.
I'm wondering if I'm going to bring my Dark Uno mask or Evil Uno mask. I might have to wear that. Maybe he'll ask me to be a creeper.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh, can you get my man titties out? Shit, that'd be cool.
You can be the dude that he sits on top of.
No, I would never let him sit on me. I have to pose.
Yes,
I have to be on camera. Yeah.
Love it. So yeah, all set to go. Got Bloodsport coming up before that as well, and they've finally announced a new man who will be facing Josh Barnett since the Moxley cancellation, and it is none other than Chris fucking Dickinson, who again another guy that we've just sucked the fucking schlong of on previous episodes, but I cannot wait to see that match.
He's actually taking on. There's a wrestling company in Oregon around here, Prestige, where he's going to be facing Tom Lawler. So it's going to be the filthy Lawler versus the filthy father.
Ooh, I'm excited. But yeah, that's it. We've got a whole bunch of wrestling shows coming up. We've got a night in Tijuana. We're maybe going to go to an indie show of some sort. We'll see what we can do. What's going on there, friend? It's a lot of crunching.
An asshole.
Me?
Hello?
Hello?
I'm back.
You're back? We calling me an asshole?
No, the dog. He went in my roommate's room and peed on the bed, and then also just pulled the headset out again. He completely unplugged my shit.
He
Maybe it's time to
clearly
close
is, trying to get you to finish up this show and get out of here. I need to pack. Yeah, we've got things to do. I've got a whole country to leave and get into another one. So I'm all checked in.
Safe travels, my friend.
Thank you.
See you. I'll actually see you in roughly about a week. So be careful out there, okay, pal?
Yeah, I'll be landing in Philly on Thursday morning. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be staying in Fishtown, which I don't know anything about, but the name sounds cool.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So time for some plugs. You can follow me at Chris Things on the Twitter and mainly the Instagram. Check out all the cool art stuff. And hit me up for some print skis if you want. Where can we find you, my friend?
You can find me, outside your window right now. Don't look around. But no, you can find me on Twitter at Jaims Vanderbeek, Jaims Vanderbeek. I am also on the same handle on the Instagrams.
Mhm. You can also find the show at Grown Men Pod, where we will occasionally share things, maybe post things, maybe put a link up about things that we talk about, and also let you know when the new shows come out. That's what we do for you. Also, big thanks to Social Suplex, the marvelous podcasting network that makes all of this magic happen. You can find a bunch of other tremendous shows on there, such as One Nation Radio, Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, the All Elite Show, Keeping It Strong Style, all of that at the home base of socialsuplex.com. Woo! I actually had the notes up in front of me so I could read those out after the disaster of the show plugs that was last week's episode. So I hope everyone will forgive those awful memories of last week and just focus on how fucking great a job that I did on the plugs this week. Thanks.
Yes, indeed. One quick question before we get out of here.
Yeah.
What day are we going to Mexico? I forget.
Saturday night, my friend.
Saturday night.
Saturday. We'll probably be there during the day, I would assume.
I was thinking about getting a tattoo during the day, but never mind. All right, cool.
In Mexico?
Saturday
You're gonna get a Mexican tattoo?
Hell no. I was gonna go to Manny Daggers again, but never mind.
Well, maybe if you can do like a 5 a.m. tattoo for you.
No. All right, buddy.
All
Safe
right.
travels. Get swifty, everybody.
Thanks.
All right, I gotta scold this dog and apologize to my roommate. So I will talk to you later, buddy.
All right, good luck with that. Thanks, man.
Peace.